The Red Raiders land a massive commitment from one of the best wide receivers in the transfer portal in Washington State wide receiver transfer, Josh Kelley. In today's video, we'll discuss what he brings to Texas Tech and that wide receiver group and what that wide receiver group will look like in 2024. Plus, a look at the national portal rankings for the 2024 class and where the Red Raiders measure up nationally. Hint, it's pretty damn good. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to stay in the know on Texas Tech football, not only on the gridiron, but off of it all year long. We've got you covered with instant analysis when it comes to the latest recruiting updates, news off the field, on the field, everything. And oh, by the way, it's 100% free. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. And before we even get into talking about Josh Kelley, just hit the like button if you're excited about this Texas Tech wide receiver group going into 2024. You think about it, you add a guy like Caleb Payday Douglas. Obviously, you're excited that Micah Hudson, a five-star wide receiver, the first five-star in program history, is headed to the 806. And now you land one of the best overall wide receiver commitments and transfers, really, in the portal this cycle in Washington State wide receiver Josh Kelley. Let's talk about it right now, as he is a 6'1", 192-pound wide receiver with 1 year of eligibility left. He actually started his college career at Fresno State and was teammates with Braylon Lux, a guy that is probably going to be a starting corner for the Red Raiders. So that's really cool to see those guys back together at a much higher level of competition in terms of the Power 5 setting. Anyway, we move on to what he did at Washington State. He's going to be a grad transfer, 1 year of eligibility left. But last year for the Cougars with Cam Ward, he had 63 catches, just under 950 yards receiving, and oh, by the way, 8 touchdowns. He ranked as the number 11 wide receiver in this portal class. And when you look at what he does on the field, I've mentioned this in a previous video when talking about his official visit to the 806, which happened last week. He's the perfect wide receiver to play alongside Micah Hudson. He's older, he's proven at the Power 5 level, and he's a guy that Micah Hudson can learn from in the sense of things that Josh Kelley does. Micah Hudson can do as well, and realistically, probably at a much higher level just because of his skill set. So it's really cool to have that translation and almost that senior leadership in terms of, hey, you got a 5-star wide receiver coming in here. He can learn from Josh Kelley and really implement a lot of the things that Josh Kelley does at the Power 5 level. Kelley is a great route runner, and he loves himself some yak. And for those that don't know what yak is, yard after the catch. He can make multiple defenders miss. There's a highlight of him against really one of those teams that was surprising to some, but really solid team. Now, obviously, their coach has moved on to Michigan State, but the Oregon State Beavers, he made like 5 guys miss and ended up scoring a touchdown. I mean, he is phenomenal. Kelley is at making guys miss. And for me, this is a commitment that I'm most excited about from the standpoint of you get guys, like Carter and Scurry on the offensive line, who, don't get me wrong, that's a much needed position for the Red Raiders. No doubt about it. But Kelley is a guy that is proven at the Power 5 level. He can be a go-to wide receiver. The most happy guy in the entire Texas Tech program right now, you got 3 options, okay? You're going to go with Joey McGuire. I mean, that's probably a good choice. I guess technically you have 4 options. Joey McGuire, Zach Kitley on the coaching front. Pick whichever one you want. Then you got Taj Brooks, because he's actually got some wide receivers outside there now that defenses have to account for. So it's not a 7-man box anymore. Or you could go with Baron Morton, who has all the tools in the toolbox now to absolutely go out and just be pinpoint in dissecting Big 12 defenses, okay? And we'll talk about some of the guys that Texas Tech is all rounded up in terms of the transfer portal on offense that have the chance to start next year and why Baron Morton should be excited here in a little bit. But Josh Kelley is at the top of that list, in my opinion. He is that kind of impact player. And speaking of impact players, Texas Tech has landed a couple of them in the portal. Let's look at where the Red Raiders currently rank in the class of 2024 in terms of their transfer portal class ranking. It's pretty good. I told you, hint, hint, and you can see it at the bottom of the screen right there. Rivals, they are 4th overall in the country, only behind Colorado, Ole Miss, and South Carolina, the Gamecocks. Then you've got On3. They rank 7th nationally. Tech is 2nd in the Big 12, once again behind Colorado. Now, 24/7 Sports has them 9th, but they haven't updated the Kelly commitment. I presume once Kelly is added, that would go up probably in that 5 or 6 range, seeing how 24/7, On3, and Rivals all rank Kelly as a top 60 player in this transfer portal class. He is an impact guy right away, and that's where the current status of the Red Raiders lands in terms of their class rank for the portal class of 2024. Now, let's talk about this wide receiver group going into 2024, because I'm telling you right now, and I'll have it at the bottom of the screen for you right now, this position group alongside the offensive line needed the biggest overhaul on this team. And they did that. They did that if you are this Texas Tech staff. And it's an addition by subtraction type deal in some regards, but also you go out and you land 2 of the better wide receivers in this portal class. Oh, and you've got guys like TJ West, DJ Crest, and Kelby Volson as well coming in. But you look at the bottom of your screen right now, you got Josh Kelly coming in, Micah Hudson coming in, Caleb Douglas coming in. Those could be your 3 leading wide receivers next year, and all of them are going to be new to this Texas Tech team in 2024. Then you bring back the reliable Koy Aiken. You bring a guy back in Dre McCray that can take the top off of the defense, and I think he'll have more opportunities to do that now that the offensive line should be improved. Oh, and there's more skill position players that secondaries have to account for in terms of speed, something that Texas Tech is really serious about on the recruiting trail, whether that's in the high school ranks or the transfer portal. Then you bring a guy back in Jordan Brown, was put on scholarship, a guy that is Mr. Reliable and probably would have been close to your leading wide receiver this year in 2023 if he hadn't gotten hurt. I mentioned those 3 redshirt freshmen already in West Crest and Volson as well. Overall, right, I'm looking at this, and it's one of those things for me where I mentioned it earlier in the video, right, where I said that the 2 biggest positions that needed overhauled were wide receiver and offensive line. Texas Tech has done just that, and they've done a phenomenal job at pinpointing where they had to go in the portal to get guys that have a skill set that they think will translate to what Zach Kittley wants to do offensively. I get it. You can be skeptical all you want, and I 100% understand it in terms of I'll believe it when I see it, because maybe you're not a Zach Kittley fan, or maybe you bought into the Kool-Aid last year and it just didn't work out. And by last year, I mean 2023, obviously. I 100% understand it. But looking at the guys that they have brought into this offense in terms of really 5 guys specifically, there are 5 guys that they brought in from this portal class that could have the potential to be starters right away. At least 4 of them probably will be, with a 5th being Caleb Douglas. We'll talk about him here in just a second. But at least 4 guys that will be instant impact starters for you on this Texas Tech offense next season. Talk about him mainly in this video, and Josh Kelly. He will start for you next season, whether that's on the left or right side. I would love to see him on the same side as Micah Hudson, with Micah Hudson on the slot, Josh Kelly on the outside, and then you can have Koy Aiken, Caleb Douglas on the other side, Jordan Brown, whoever you want, right? But you've got Jalen Conyers coming in, athletic tight end. Mason Tharp's going to be healthy as well. So you got that duo there at the tight end spot. I mentioned Caleb Douglas. Maybe he starts on the other side. And then you have 2 guys at your guard spots in Vinny Scurry, and then you've also got Davon Carter, Scurry from Toledo, Carter from Memphis. Those guys are going to be your starting left and right guards next year, and I presume Caleb Rogers is going to be your starting center. I talked about it yesterday in the video that we posted here on the channel in terms of that is a veteran-laden inside interior of your offensive line if you're Texas Tech, something that really struggled last year. And now not every transfer is going to work out. I understand that, but you like what Texas Tech did in terms of pinpointing position groups in the portal and guys that have a certain skill set for what they want to do moving forward. I think they've done a phenomenal job so far in the portal, and the portal ranking shows that as well. And I don't know if they're done yet, but if they are, which I don't think they are, but let's just hypothetically say they are, they have done a phenomenal job in increasing the yak on this offense in terms of Kelly, Conyers, Douglas, and just the impact guys that they have on that offensive line as well, in Scurry and Carter. Just a phenomenal job by Joey McGuire and crew, James Blanchard, Brian Nance, everybody out there in terms of the 806 and doing what they're doing on the recruiting trail. Texas Tech is going to be much improved on the offensive side of the football. And it all starts, in my opinion, in terms of obviously the offensive line and wide receivers. And if you're excited about the wide receivers going into 2024 with Micah Hudson, Josh Kelly, Caleb Douglas, all set to invade the 806 and be a part of that Red Raider offense, be sure to spam the like button. And while you're at it, you might as well hit that subscribe button too, to stay in the know on Texas Tech football, not only on the gridiron, but off of it as well, all year long, right here on the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel.